Well, the worst 48 hours is something that pretty much everyone's speculating about right now. It seems like it was a directive at the board. I think there's maybe a lack of trust there just after like a poor run of results, which is what they've had recently. It's quite hard to believe that after that performance and win against Barcelona, they hadn't actually won a game since then until this weekend. In terms of the game itself, though, what I would say is not the most convincing performance in the world is probably the best way to put it, but also stepping that with the fact that, like, who's going to be convincing against that Everton team as well? There's not going to be a lot of teams that go and play Everton this year that are going to convincingly beat them, so that kind of needs to be weighed up as well. I think the positive for Enzo Maresca, if you can take one from this weekend, is, aside from the 3 points themselves, obviously, is the return of some form for Cole Palmer. He looked very lively, so he did. It's probably the liveliest he's looked in quite a while. I know he's been battling those groin injuries. They've been ramping him up slowly, but he played very well at the weekend. It was a great finish, back to what we've seen last year and particularly the year before as well from him. Hopefully, once he gets back to full fitness and finds that form that he's shown a bit of at the weekend, Chelsea will be a much better team as well. And what I would say on Chelsea too is there has been consistency issues there, but I think those consistency issues stem more from the fact that Moises Caicedo wasn't available the past few weeks above anything else. The fact that he wasn't available for all those games they didn't win is a sign of his importance to that team and the difference he will make moving forward for that team. So yes, 48 hours, worst of Enzo Maresca's career, apparently, around the game itself. But when you look at the things that are coming down the line for them, it's a fully fit Cole Palmer coming soon and Moises Caicedo return to the team. There's plenty of reasons to be positive for Chelsea moving forward from that desperate 48 hours, which is what Enzo was talking about.
Adam, talk to us about the financial implications of this Chelsea team and that win. So they're currently fourth in the Premier League. I think people look at them and think this is a Chelsea team that's having a very good Premier League season, not unreasonably. However, should Manchester United beat Bournemouth this evening, which is obviously wildly up in the air because both teams are currently very unpredictable, United would be on equal points to Chelsea, and it's not unreasonable to say this has not been a great season for Manchester United. Once again, they've failed to convince anybody that this is the answer to the solutions. So if you sort of put them side by side, we're sort of telling different stories. Talk to us about how the finances speak.
Yeah, so in terms of his comment, I think we're all wondering what the genus was. There has been a lot of kind of internal politics at Chelsea. I think that's kind of born from the fact that there's so many sort of chefs in the kitchen, if you will, in terms of the board. There's Todd Bowley and Bedad Igbali, but beyond that, you've got dozens of investors in Clearlake Capital as a private equity firm. Could even be hundreds, we don't know, and we'll probably never know the identity of those investors themselves. But you've got so many different sources of pressure there. And when, as you say, Champions League qualifications on the line, the revenue stakes are huge. I think Chelsea can afford to ride out a season outside of the Champions League. We always talk about PSR with them, but they've effectively broken the PSR system with this kind of accountancy sleight of hand that we've seen previously, where they've sold the women's team to themselves, sold hotels, car parks, etc., and done this kind of bizarre accountancy trick where they've created this artificial profit. So that changes from next season, but and we're moving towards UEFA's kind of model, which I think you've spoken about on the podcast before with Kieran Maguire. And so I won't go into the ins and outs of that, but it'll be slightly harder. But again, they've got this settlement agreement with UEFA because they've admitted breaching those rules. So I don't think there are any kind of immediate problems from that perspective. But with the scale of the investment there, you've just got this quite unique problem where Maresca's juggling having to develop players while simultaneously performing on the pitch. And he's maybe got a different kind of pressure than other managers in the Premier League are facing. So it wouldn't surprise me if that kind of dual role that he's having to play is at the heart of this, really.